Hello, I'm Dr. Ty Talcott with HIPAA Compliant Services. Now, certainly we all want to protect our patient information. The problem is that the government has made that so difficult to understand how we're supposed to do that and how we're supposed to meet those regulations that it has become a real challenge for most practitioners. Most don't know what they don't know. Now, sometimes I get the question, why is HIPAA such a big deal all of a sudden? It's been around since 1996, 2003, 2005, the privacy and security rules went into effect and were enforceable. But all of a sudden now, it's really a big problem. What's been going on? Why? And here's what's happened. What happened was when electronic medical records came around and started putting our information into the cloud. Now, this was information that used to be stored in most offices on a little disk in a computer, and we could protect that pretty well. But once it went into the cloud, then it became much more vulnerable, and there were not good plans put in place to protect it. And so what happened is major breaches started to occur. I mean, we had Anthem Insurance Company breached for 80 million names. When this happens, the public now starts running to the government and saying, well, what's going on? Why aren't you protecting me? The government goes to their agencies, the Office of Civil Rights, who enforces HIPAA, and they basically say, do your job. In fact, not long ago at all, just a few weeks ago, the Office of the Inspector General investigated the Office of Civil Rights and said, you guys aren't doing your job. You aren't doing your legislative mandate, which says that you have to do proactive reviews and find problems before they're problems, not just look into post-problem reviews. Well, what kind of post-problem reviews? Well, they investigate every complaint. Complaints? Does anybody complain? Well, since the beginning of time of the law, there have been 14,500 people approximately who've complained to Health and Human Services, Office of Civil Rights, relative to HIPAA violations. Well, except for the last year, when there's been 15,500 in 1 year, more in 1 year than in all of history. This is ramping up because people are going to keep stealing this information, because on the black market, you can get $5 to $50 per name for identity theft type information, and you can get up to $500 per name for a full health file on someone. As long as we have that kind of money available on the market, people are going to steal the stuff. And so this has ramped and ramped between the breaches, and then they come along and they say, hey, the offices of the civil rights can't actually enforce enough. So what do? They give them more auditors, and they give them more money. In fact, this year, they gave them an extra $4 million earmarked specifically for physician office audits. So this is going to do nothing but get worse. 2013, when they put the omnibus rules in place, those simply cause further enforcement, larger fines, bigger problems. Now, just recently, the dentists are put in a very scary situation. The Federal Trade Commission came along and fined the largest purveyor of dental billing software out there. Well, they found them guilty of not encrypting data as they were advertising that they did to provide HIPAA protection. They fined the company $250,000. Now, that's sort of a big deal, but here's the real big deal. All of those dentists, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dentists that use that service, did they have business associate contracts in place? You're supposed to have a business associate contract in place with anyone who transmits or stores your data, your patient health information. If you don't have those in place, you're liable under HIPAA for their offenses. So now here's a Federal Trade Commission coming in on false advertising charge and opening the door to potential thousands and thousands of dentists being liable for not having business associate contracts in place. And even if they do, if the business associate contract does not negate an agency arrangement, they could still have a problem. There are so many things that you have to do under HIPAA. You have to have an ICER. You have to have a risk analysis. If you don't have a risk analysis, you don't have a HIPAA program at all. That's what Washington, D.C. says. You have to have, most offices, somewhere around 100, 200 pages of policies in place. You have to have a lot of documents that are customized to your office. It's required that it be a customized program. You can't buy a book and set it on a shelf. If you bought a book to show you what to do with HIPAA and just set it on a shelf, you're in real trouble. And if you paid under $300 for it, you probably don't have maybe the information that you need that should be in that book to tell you what to do. So the question becomes, well, how do you solve this? Because you can never be 100% compliant. So you just have to do the best that you can. And we have to do everything that we can. And I've looked at this a long time. I've been teaching and training this topic for many, many years. And I've really only found a few ways that you can put a HIPAA program in place. Number one, you can do all the work yourself. Now, if you do all the work yourself, that's going to be doctor time, because you're going to have to read literally thousands of pages of HIPAA law and federal registers that apply to it. And it's going to take the doctor to ferret out what applies to a physician office and what applies to hospitals, insurance companies, and other types of covered entities. So it's not something you can typically delegate very well. And I can tell you, I did it myself in the beginning, setting up a HIPAA compliance program so that I know what pieces had to go in place. And it took me over 100 hours. Now, that's one way you can do it, though. It can be done. I've done it. I know it can be done. Another way to do it that's very inexpensive is our bronze program. And our bronze program is using our HIPAA survival kit, which is a workbook and a set of CDs that actually explain and walk your compliance officer, or whoever you appoint as your compliance officer, or yourself, through the stages and steps of everything: analysis, the ICER, the contingency plan with data recovery plan, and emergency mode operation, and all the things that you have to do for HIPAA that most people don't even realize. But it'll walk you step by step. It's an affordable solution that any office can easily afford, and it can be delegated to staff. So you're probably looking at 15 or 20 hours of staff time with maybe an hour or two of doctor time. That's a lot better than over 100 hours of doctor time, of course. And what I find, it's amazing, but when staff take it on, it gets done, and it usually gets done better than when the doctor takes it on. Now, we also have a program that's our gold program. It's the top of the line, you might say. And that program is where we actually come on site and we install the program for you. We have people that are certified in that area. They come in, they work directly with your compliance officer, they train your staff directly. We author all of the documents, the policies that you need, the risk analysis, the ICER, the contingency plans, all the different things that you have to have, as well as your audits and reviews and evaluations you have to do on an ongoing basis, the audit sheets for doing that, etc. We supply all of that. And it's more expensive, much more expensive than the survival kit. However, for a practice that's especially a large practice where you realize taking your time, yourself or your staff, away from your practice costs you a lot more money than writing the check, it's a great solution. Now we have another solution that's kind of in the middle. It's our silver program. And the silver program is very, very popular because it really does a lot of the heavy lifting for you and is still affordable. It's quite an affordable approach where we author all the documents, we just do it at long distance. Therefore, we don't have to travel, you don't have expenses involved, and we don't have to take that time that it takes to travel out and back, so it's much less expensive than the gold plan. Again, we're not face-to-face with your people, we're not face-to-face training, we're not face-to-face showing them what to do into the future, but boy, it's the next best thing to it, and it's about a fourth of the cost. So if you would like information on those different programs that we have, again, you can do it yourself. It's going to take 100 hours or more of doctor time in a small, typical one doctor, one office facility, even more in larger, more complex facilities. You can do the bronze plan and have kind of a walk it through, do it yourself kind of approach there. You can do the silver plan where we can help author everything for you. We still spend probably 2 or 3 hours with you extracting information that's relative to your office because it all has to be customized by law. It has to be customized. It has to be an active, dynamic program, which means we have to be doing things and making contributions to that program on an ongoing basis. Therefore, if you would like information on those and for us to get you accurate pricing, based on your situation of how many doctors, locations, that type of thing, then please, I'll give you some information here of how you can reach us. You can reach us by email at admin@HIPAAComplianceservices.com. So that's admin@HIPAAComplianceservices.com. Or you can call Tiffany at 214-437-6900. 214-437-7559. That's 214-437-7559. Or you can call me direct on my cell phone at 469-371-8804. 469-371-8804. And I look forward to speaking with you in the future.